and welcome to my Reading Skulduggery Pleasant the Faceless Ones reading vlog. So this reading vlog is like my previous two, as in this is going to be full spoilers for the first 9 books, as in I'm going to be talking about the foreshadow in these books and spoilers for the rest of the series and stuff like this. So if you have not read the rest of the Skulduggery Pleasant series, do not watch this vlog. Just click off it and leave. You have been warned. So this is obviously the third Skulduggery Pleasant book. This is the Faceless Ones, and I am so excited to be reading this one. I'm actually buddy reading this with Abby from Abbey of Pelennor, who I'll leave a link to down below, and I cannot wait. Obviously this is also part of the Dead Famous read-along. I'm just mentioning the fact that me and Abby are buddy reading this as well because we've both read the entire series, so we're just sort of comparing notes, I guess you could say, on like our different views on the foreshadow and stuff like this. So let's get into it. I'm just on page 7 right now, and I love this bit that Valkyrie has with Crux, because she says, like, do you really need, like, them, the cleavers, essentially, to stand in the middle of the street? Valkyrie asked. They look a little conspicuous. And Crux goes, that's an awfully big word for a 13-year-old. And she goes, actually, it's not. It's fairly standard. Also, I'm 14. Also, you're big, stupid. And it's just like, I love the fact that they have this moment of going, yes, she is an intelligent girl, and like, obviously she is being treated sort of like an adult by Skulduggery while also still being a child. It's the whole thing. But she's also still very much an immature child, and I love that Derek didn't make her like really mature instantly after like book 1 and make her act like an adult. She's still very much a child, and I love the fact that her comeback is just, you're big, stupid. It's brilliant. I hate the Grand Mage. I absolutely hate the Grand Mage so much, because he's just like, you will stand when I enter a room, and he's got like absolutely no respect for anybody. He's basically like, I will respect you if you respect me first, and basically his idea of respect is you basically bowing down to him, and I'm just like, you're an arsehole. I hate him so much. I absolutely hate him. I really wish they'd killed him in this book. I really wish they'd killed him, because he's an asshole. Like, obviously I know there's like a coup and all the rest of it, but I'm still like, I hate the Grand Mage. I really hate him, like, so much. He's such a twat. Also on page 16 there is just such a good bit of foreshadow, because it says you're here to heal all the wounds you've inflicted, to bring back all those people you've killed. What is your purpose, Skulduggery? Is it to teach this girl? Is it to train her to be just like you? Is that what makes you, I'm dyslexic, reading out loud screws me, but is it what gets you up in the morning? But here's a question you maybe haven't asked yourself. Do you really want her to be like you? Do you want her to live like you, devoid of warmth, companionship and love? Just, if you suspect me of being a traitor, then you must think that I'm a monster. Yes, a cold-hearted monster, and yet I have a wife I adore, and children I worry about, and a responsibility in my work that weighs on my shoulders every moment of every day. So if a cold-hearted monster like me can have all of this, and you have none of that, what does that make you? And first of all, that line makes me hate the Grand Mage even more than usual, because, I mean, I hate the Grand Mage anyway, but that's just hitting it a bit too hard. But also the foreshadow there, talking about him being a cold-hearted monster, and does Skulduggery want to make Valkyrie like him when they're Darkess and Lord Vile? Like, the two of them are both sides, like their good personalities are one side of the coin, and their bad personalities are like the other side of the coin, and it's just so wonderful seeing how the two of them and their other personalities just work so well together. And this idea of like the cold-hearted monster and stuff like this, and obviously at this point you've got no idea that he's Lord Vile or she's Darkess or anything like that. It's just so interesting to read it. It's so interesting to go back and read these things and go, oh yeah, that was there. I still hate Fletcher Wren. I still really hate him in book 1. In book 1 I can't stand him, because he's just generally really twatty, essentially. He's just a twat of a human being, and he's just so cocky. He's a teenage boy. Like, he's such a cocky teenage boy in this one, and I get it. Like, I get why he's like that, but it's still, I hate him. It's the only way I can describe it. I hate him so much during this book. He grows on me throughout the rest of the series, but I hate him in this first book so much. I just despise him. Like, I just despise him. There's only one way to describe it, and that is that I despise him, and he grows on me after like book 5. It takes to about book 5 when he grows up a little. That's when I start liking him. Before then, I hate him. And I'm really interested to see what everybody else in the Discord and the read-along actually think about him, because literally Ali was saying in the live show that she thinks she's going to hate him just by him on the front cover. So I'll be interested to see what everyone thinks about him, because I hate him in the first book. I hate him. Just got to chapter 9 where Tanith gets her ass kicked. That's not normal. That is really not normal. That is like the first time where you go, oh, these guys are powerful, because obviously Tanith is obviously like the cavalry. Usually Tanith isn't bothered by these types of things. She just gets up and carries on. So the fact that she got her ass handed to her is not normal whatsoever. So I think that's the moment where you suddenly go, oh, these people actually mean business, and they've actually got powerful people with them, because they beat Tanith in combat, which is not normal. I completely and utterly forgot that my phone just dinged. Anyway, I completely and utterly forgot that Ghastly's mother was killed by Lord Vile. Don't ask me how I forgot this. I completely and utterly forgot that happened. And obviously he only mentions it in that conversation with Tanith, but I still completely forgot about that. And it's just that moment of going, oh yeah, that like the way Derek Landy set up Lord Vile throughout this series before it was even revealed who Lord Vile is, so you get this idea that he was a nasty, powerful sorcerer and necromancer. It's so interesting to sort of see that sort of thing where you are actually having hints of what's happened and just how cruel and nasty he was. And that just makes the whole reveal even better for me, because it's just like, you've got this dark side to Skulduggery, but you never for a million years think it's going to go that far. Ever. And then obviously it does, and you're like, oh god, and you suddenly realise that they have a serious problem on their hands with Lord Vile. But it's just, I completely forgot about that, and I've completely forgotten if Ghastly ever finds out. I've completely forgotten. I think he does, but I can't remember. So that's going to be interesting when I get that far, because I've read these earlier books several times, but the later books past book 5 I've only read once. So it's going to be quite interesting to remember what happened. Also, there's a bit that I've sent to Abby, right? And like, Valkyrie says, you never told me you had a history with necromancers. And Skulduggery says, I'm over 400 years old. I haven't told you a lot of things. And it's like, history with necromancers? Yes, because you're Lord Vile, the necromancer. And I love the fact that he's just like, yeah, I haven't told you a lot of things. And say, yeah, you're holding back a really big one. You're really holding back a big one here. And I just find that really fun that he's just holding back this massive secret. And obviously you're getting hints now with like the whole, you have a history with necromancy and stuff, but it's still never said. And I'm just like ridiculously happy reading this again, seeing all these different bits of like foreshadow, and I'm just loving that so much. Is it bad that when the Grand Mage gets kidnapped by the Diablerie, I'm just like, could you kill him? Could you just go back on your thing and just kill him? Because I hate him. I really hate him. I really wish that they killed him. That's probably a bad thing, but I still really wish they killed him. Quite badly. I just kind of wish for it now. I love the fact that as well that China always has a plan, and then a counter plan, and then probably a counter plan to that counter plan. She's just got so many plans, and just how she just gets out of absolutely everything every single time. It just really amuses me, essentially. What also really amuses me is just how stupid Beryl and Crux and people like that are. Like, they're always jumping to the wrong conclusions. Like Crux, who is constantly just unhinged at this point, but also how Beryl is just completely out of this world, and she ends up just being chucked into the middle of it with no context whatsoever, and just ends up going, wait, what? And it's just, I just find these really amusing when you just see like the outside people just sort of looking in, or the people who are on the inside but are completely barking up the wrong tree. I just find it very amusing. Am I the only one who also continually forgets that Bliss and China are siblings? Because I constantly forget this, and I know like Bliss has just died in chapter 35, so obviously he doesn't turn up in the rest of the books as far as I remember, so obviously it's not important after this, but I just genuinely forget constantly that they're siblings, like constantly, you know, and it's like, I do kind of miss Bliss, but I guess he was sort of replaced by Ghastly coming back, which was really nice, because Ghastly is that strong character as well who can hit really hard. It's just the fact that he's not as strong as Bliss, but I like the fact that like Ghastly is now back, but we've got the fact that Bliss is now gone, and you suddenly go, oh god, what are they going to do now? Because Bliss was like their one-man army, essentially. So, it's that kind of interesting thing, I've got to admit. And I really like the fight scenes in this one as well, because it does feel like very, very scary, especially with the description of like eyeballs melting and stuff like this. It's so gruesome for a kid's book, and it still shocks me to this day just how dark and gruesome these books get, despite the fact that they are middle grade. And I'm just wondering how this was published as a middle grade, quite frankly, because it is so gory in places. I'm not complaining because I love a bit of gore, but it is quite interesting knowing that this is actually a middle grade, and it's just dealing with the fact that someone's eyeballs have just melted and then they've crumpled Bliss into a husk of nothing, isn't he? It's just he's twisted into bits of pulverized bone and shredded flesh, essentially. And I just find this quite interesting that you get that all in like a page and stuff like this. I'm rambling, but essentially Bliss is now dead, and it's a bit like, oh god, this just happened, but I'm happy Ghastly's back because he's like their strength now. And also I'm just surprised that this book still is this gory considering it's a middle grade. So I have just finished the Faceless ones, and I forgot where this one ended. I, for some reason, thought that this one ended with the Dark S thing, where it's revealed that Valkyrie's true name is Dark S, but it actually ends with Skulduggery going through the portal, and I completely forgot about that. But I didn't forget about it. I knew it was coming, but I thought it was in a different book for some reason, so that was a bit of an oh god moment. And it's weird because I actually stopped reading these books at this book originally when I was a kid, and then I didn't pick them back up again for a couple of years, and then I reread from the beginning all the way through. I don't know why I stopped here. I have no idea why I stopped at this book. Maybe the other books haven't been released yet. Maybe, possibly. That's probably what happened. But I'm just like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh no. And I've just remembered like everything else with it. I'm also really interested in the fact that Solomon Wreath has taken an interest in Valkyrie, because obviously he thinks that she could be the Deathbringer, or he's got an inkling that she could be the Deathbringer in this, like by this point probably, and that's why he wants her. But I just find that really, really interesting that he's like, yes, I want this, like he's trying to recruit her essentially. And I just find that really, really interesting, and just to see the little groundworks bits, like obviously the fact that they've still got an anchor because it's Skulduggery's head, and obviously that was mentioned in the first book and it's now come up in book 3. I love the way Derek Landy just weaves in all of these little bits you think are throwaway lines, and they actually come back as something important in later books. I absolutely love that. But with that, that is the end of this reading vlog. Unfortunately, I didn't have that much else to say about this one. There didn't seem to be any sort of pop culture references in this one. I've probably missed hundreds of them, or at least several of them at the very least, but this one didn't specifically seem to have any, so that's odd. I'll probably Google it later and find out that I've missed loads from stuff that I haven't really watched before. But apart from that, that's all I've really got to say about this book. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below with what you thought of this book. I'd love to know. I'll also leave a link down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here. And over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!